Welcome to another episode of the Manufacturing Executive Podcast. I'm Joe Sullivan, your host and a co-founder of the industrial marketing agency Gorilla 76. From the emergence and adoption of recruiting technologies by companies like Indeed, LinkedIn, and others, to the widening manufacturing skills gap, to the more recent disruptions caused by the pandemic, the industrial sector labor market has changed so much over the past decade. There are few manufacturing organizations that I talk to that haven't mentioned their challenges on the recruiting and hiring front. And so today, my guest is an expert in this exact space. Patrick O'Reilly is the founder and CEO of Factory Fix, a recruiting platform built specifically for the manufacturing industry. Previously, Patrick was the co-founder of Compass Automation, a company that built custom automation solutions for manufacturers. Compass was eventually bought by Tesla in 2017. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, Patrick, you and I talked a few weeks back to sort of formulate some ideas for this conversation. And I thought that the story of what led you kind of to where you are today as the founder of Factory Fix is one worth telling. The bio I just read was doesn't do justice at all to what you've experienced in your career and what's kind of helped you wind up where you are at this moment in time. So I was hoping you could kind of recap that and give our listeners sort of an idea of who you are and where you came from.
Yeah, so Factory Fix was actually born out of my first company, which was Compass Automation. I actually started that right out of high school or right out of college, with two high school friends. And, we ended up designing and building custom automation solutions for manufacturers and really had no idea what we were doing when we started. But, my partners were really smart and we just figured it out over time. But if you have any listeners in that business, they know it's just an absolutely brutal business. Every machine you're doing is completely custom. You're only doing one of them. You're giving fixed bids anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million before you even design a single component. So we never actually really made any sort of profit building the actual machines. But what did come of that is after we installed the machine, customers would always call us back for service opportunities or little upgrade projects, programming projects, that sort of thing. And those were really profitable. So basically we got together and said, we need more of those jobs. How do we do that? So ended up launching a website, calling it Factory Fix, wanted to keep it separate in case our competitors would potentially use us and that sort of thing. And the idea was kind of automation guy on demand, right? Like Uber for automation guy. So we'd send customers to this website. They'd basically fill out a form and say, I need, a controls engineer for a week or something like that. And I would basically find someone in my network that did that type of gig work and just play matchmaker and, handle the billing and insurance and that sort of thing. And the idea was to build this into a more automated platform that would make the matches, automatically and all that good stuff. But once I got into Factory Fix full time, quickly realized that that's not a super scalable business. And that the bigger pain was filling these full-time jobs. I talk to customers and they say, the project stuff is great when I have it, but, can you fill this second shift machinist position for me? So, we were super scrappy and, being a startup, we could do pivots and, ended up where we are today, which is, most of our business is filling full-time roles for companies.
Yeah, that's really cool. How you were right there in the business. You saw the issue and where the need really was, and sort of built something around it. So give us the quick rundown of what Factory Fix is today for those who aren't familiar.
Yeah, so we are a recruiting platform built specifically for manufacturing companies. So you can think about our product as really two components. The first being our network of manufacturing professionals. So we have over 170,000 workers that have signed up and built profiles. And it's like a pseudo LinkedIn experience, but we're capturing data that manufacturers actually care about. For example, if you're a machinist and you sign up, you're actually telling us what types of machines you have experience with, do you know mills or lathes, even brands, have you worked on Haas's or Mazaks, industries, the types of parts you've made, that sort of thing. And, with that data, we're able to make better matches. And then the second piece of our product is this technology that we've built to, one, find people that are the right match for your particular job. But then also when applicants come in, we're able to automatically screen and vet them through, this cool chat bot that we built that'll actually, ask specific questions about that candidate's experience. And then this algorithm that'll actually score the candidate's resume and then their answers to those questions and determine whether or not they're a good fit for your job, so that customers aren't, wasting time with applicants that either don't have the right experience or, aren't located close enough to the facility, or, want too much money that customer is willing to pay, that sort of thing. So, that's what we are today.
Sounds like a really great platform. Where, Patrick, do you see manufacturing companies making mistakes with their recruiting and hiring efforts today? Obviously, something led you to say, hey, there's a gap here, a hole that has to be filled. And what are some of those mistakes that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that there's a lot of unnecessary friction in the hiring process with a lot of companies that we talk to. These are companies that have unbelievable manufacturing processes. They practice lean manufacturing. There's no wasted effort. And yet in the hiring process, they'll have unnecessary steps where, maybe it's one HR person and they're sifting through resumes, and then they have to do a phone screen with the candidate. And then after that, they'll send the resume to the hiring manager on the production floor, wait for them to give feedback, and then try to coordinate with their schedule, and then get back to the candidate and try to coordinate with their schedule. And with each unnecessary step, you're going to see more and more candidates drop off, especially in the tight labor market that we see today. And so, that's our goal at Factory Fix. We want to build features that are going to streamline this process. And we're really working towards this ultimate goal of having the most efficient recruiting process possible, where, a company can post a job and then our software will immediately know who's a good fit for that job. Applicants will come in, we'll be able to score them, and then hopefully schedule the interview right there, so the candidate will just show up ready for their final interview. So that's what we're working towards, to try to knock out all of those unnecessary steps.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about this because it resembles, a lot of things that are part of my world as a marketing agency where there are, marketing automation, for example. There are elements of the marketing process that should be automated based on, data and various inputs that somebody provides to help you, kind of screen someone, and help show maybe who's a fit and who's not. But ultimately, you're going to need people to do it. It just streamlines the process. It speeds it up. It eliminates bloat. Gives you a process. So it's just interesting to hear you kind of talk through what this does. I can see the value. So how do you think? Is there anything you'd comment on that in terms of how you believe that manufacturers should be thinking differently about recruiting and hiring today?
Yeah. So I think today you see a lot of companies be very reactive in their hiring process, right? Like my guy on second shift just quit. I need to fill that role, and I'm willing to pay whatever it takes to like fill it. We just need that machine running. So I think with that, that's where you run into paying more than you need to, a high cost per hire. But ultimately, hiring should be proactive in where you're building a pipeline for your company. You know exactly where to go when that situation happens. And ultimately, it's just, like I mentioned before, eliminating any waste you can throughout that process.
Yeah, I'd again make a parallel comparison to marketing. It's like you can't wait to start generating new business when all of a sudden, there's you lose 5 customers or some emergency pops up. Like you need to be prepared for when that inevitably does happen, have a pipeline ready. And it's really the same thing on the people side of the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, another comparison to marketing, right? Like these companies are, for the most part, good at knowing what their cost is to acquire a new customer. However, we talk to a lot of companies that don't know what it costs them to make a hire, right, on the recruiting side. And I see that there's a couple of reasons why that is. One, they see it as a necessary evil when that position opens up, right? Going back to hiring being too reactive. They'll pay whatever it takes, whether that be, job board fees or, paying a recruiter or something like that, just to get that position filled. And then the other thing is like, it's not a super easy metric to calculate, right? You need to add up all of the job board spend, any fees paid to staffing firms, any salaries for recruiters, any applicant tracking software you use, and divide that by the number of hires you make. But I think that is a metric that companies should track, just like cost to acquire a customer.
Are there any benchmarks that you guys lean on there, or something that's established as a way to just sort of guide someone?
Yeah, there's some things out there I've seen for the manufacturing industry that somewhere around 5,000 cost per hire is like the industry standard. But it's something that we at Factory Fix try to show as a tangible metric that we can help you improve on this, and our pricing and our business model is all hinged to that.
So Patrick, in what ways do you think that this world of hiring in the manufacturing sector specifically will continue to evolve in the years ahead?
Yeah, I honestly, I think we're kind of in for a world of hurt here in these coming years, as the skills gap gets more serious and the labor market tightens even more, we're going to have to figure out how to recruit and attract more talent to manufacturing. And obviously, paying more is easier than it sounds. So I do think like wages are going to have to go up a little bit. But, one thing I think we can do better as an industry is, building like career development paths for people getting into the industry, right? Just making it super clear how, okay, you're a machine operator today. Here's the steps and the skills that you need to learn in order to make a 6-figure career in manufacturing in 7 years or something like that. It's something that other industries do pretty well, and it does take intentional effort to map that out. But once we can do that, then we can figure out, okay, how do we actually train those skills? And it's just more attractive for people if they can see light at the end of the tunnel and how you can make a really lucrative career in this industry.
Yeah, those are all really good points. Sort of painting a picture for someone of what career advancement looks like is probably a missed opportunity for a lot of businesses. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think it gets back to that like reactive versus proactive hiring. And if you as an owner can kind of map out career paths in your company, I think you're going to have an easier time attracting those entry-level positions if they know that they can, get a promotion in 2 years, or that they will get a promotion in 2 years if they hit the benchmarks necessary.
Mm-hmm. What, if any, impact have you seen over the last year or so? We're recording this right now in January of 2021, but in the middle of this pandemic, are there any observations about how the labor market has changed in manufacturing as a result of any of this?
Yeah, it's really, really tough right now. Especially with, the CARES Act and, unemployment benefits obviously increasing temporarily there. You're seeing a lot of candidates just stay home rather than, actively try to find a job. And, obviously I don't blame them, but it just makes it more important for you as an employer just to make your process as efficient as possible. And so, yeah, we're seeing a lot of issues with that. A lot of, the biggest thing that I didn't realize was such a problem before I started this was interview no-shows. You're seeing that at like an all-time high. Candidates who say they're interested, they apply, they schedule the interview, just won't show up. And I'm sure COVID has thrown a wrench into that and plays into that. But I'm sure your listeners have dealt with that, and we're trying to figure out ways to improve that with notifications and acceptance, automated acceptances, and it's just an issue that's gotten worse in this season.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something I wouldn't have anticipated either. You'd think, a job interview, right? You show up, or if you're not interested, you let them know, but not always the case.
Yeah, and sites like Indeed and LinkedIn have made it so easy to apply for multiple jobs at once that candidates, they have no idea what they're applying to most of the time, right? If you're a machine operator, you apply for a machine operator job, Indeed will send you a pop-up with these 20 other machine operator opportunities, and you can just click apply all. and those companies just think you sought out their job and applied for that. So it's even more critical to do another screening, obviously, to confirm they are actually interested in this opportunity, and then following up and then hoping they show up to the interview.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's interesting. The technology platforms are making the problem worse. They're helping in ways and hurting in others, I suppose. But okay. Well, Patrick, is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation that I didn't ask you about?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I'd love to have your listeners, manufacturing owners, or HR people, or whoever, feel free to reach out. My email is patrick@factoryfix.com. We offer free trials at Factory Fix. We're all about like proving that we can add value to your company before you commit to anything. But even companies that want to talk strategy or, talk about their hiring process, like I'm open to it. I love talking shop. So, I just appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I'd advise anybody listening to take Patrick up on the offer. This is a guy who's been through it, and he's has seen a lot. So anybody struggling in the hiring front, would encourage you to reach out or to check out factoryfix.com. So really cool platform you've put together, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing this today. And for the rest of you listening, I hope to catch you on the next episode of The Manufacturing Executive.